Hi, in this video I will show one of the ways to organize tools in a toolbox. For any kind of tool organizing so that you can easily find any tool and reach for it, you need to sacrifice some storage space. I will explain briefly everything that I needed to use in order to make this, and I will show a brief video demonstration of how I did it. There are several ways of doing it. You can use computer-aided software to design everything and laser cutting to cut everything, but here I used just very cheap do-it-yourself tools that are available easily and cheaply, and it's far from perfect, but it does the job quite well. Here is the toolbox that I got, and this toolbox offers a lot of storage space. I will open it. Here it has these like for sorting the tools, and it has very deep bottom section where you can put a lot of tools. The downside of just putting all the tools in one section is that you have to spend the time to search through them, and if there are some cutting tools like these here, you can even cut yourself as you're trying to reach for some other tool and so on. And these are the tools that I don't use very often, but when I need them, I cannot get the job done without them. So I wanted to have them organized in one toolbox where I can easily reach for any of these tools, and that they are put securely in place when I'm not using them. And I thought that this was a good idea to organize my tools. I will show you how this looks like when it's done professionally. I'll make a separate video about this tool, but this is what it looks like when it's done with some laser cutting machines, and when the special foam for this like tool sorting is used. They cut out some space so you can easily reach for the tools, and it's quite deep. However, I decided to go on a budget, so I bought some, I'm not sure of the proper English term, polyurethane foam, which is very hard, like sponge. I will see how well it lasts and how it handles, or if I will need to do the job again with the proper foam, but I wanted to give it a test. And so for some tools I have created like this, so I can easily reach with my finger and take them out, and they're held securely in place. While for these larger tools, because I'm not bouncing this toolbox upside down and so on, I was happy just to have them easily available like this without any deep sections. And for these larger tools I made like 2 layers in some places, while for some smaller tools I was happy with just using 1 layer. What I bought for making this were 2. One that is of 5 millimeters thickness and one that is of 1 centimeter thickness, so that I can easily cut them both. I use this for the bottoms of all the brackets, just to have something nice and soft to hold the tools from rocking and scratching against the metal toolbox, and I use this one, the thicker one, to make the shapes and cut everything out. Now for the tools needed to make this work, I needed a steel ruler that allowed me to mark everything and use later for cutting to guide the other tool, which is a scalpel basically. With this scalpel, depending on the thickness of the material, I made the blade protrude more or less, so that it cuts just what I'm trying to cut, not any deeper. I also needed this to make the angles so that it's aligned. I needed a ruler to measure everything, and I needed a pen to draw on these before I cut them. That's basically it. I will show everything else in the video with the brief demonstrations and my comment of what I'm doing. And generally I'm happy with the result. It doesn't look very nice, but it's functional, and all the tools are nicely sorted in this toolbox, and I have room for some more tools as they come by, as I get more and more always, and this is intended for the tools that I don't use very often. So we'll now get on with it. I almost forgot the most important thing, glue and the way to apply it. For gluing those foams and sponges, you need a glue that does not dissolve them, because many glues that are generally sold in shops and supermarkets will eat through such materials, so they get completely dissolved. So when you're buying, make sure, I bought this in the same shop where I bought the foam, so make sure that you buy the glue that is good for that foam and that is good for whatever it is that you are gluing the foam onto. In my case, this was a metal toolbox. If you're using plastic toolbox or some wooden drawers to organize tools inside those, make sure that the glue will stick to those surfaces as well. So glue and the way to apply it. The first thing I did was clean it with some old cloth, cotton cloth in this case. Then I used some roughly 100 grit sandpaper to roughen it up, not completely remove all the paint, just rough it up a bit so that the glue can adhere, can stick to it better. And then I cleaned all the dust from sanding, again using some old cotton cloth, and then I used some cleaning alcohol, 96 or more percent ethyl alcohol, to put it on some cloth and degreased it, cleaned everything and degreased it, so that I can be sure that the glue will properly stick to the toolbox. And I did a thorough clean basically. After degreasing it, as you will see in this video, I used some dry paper towels to just make sure that it's all nice and clean, and then I went on to the next phase, which was measuring everything to be sure how much room I have and to know to which dimensions to cut out the foam. And I measured from both the inside and the outside just to be sure. Of course, I deduced the thickness of the steel walls when I was measuring from the outside, and I measured every bracket and wrote it all down so that I know. Then I took some cardboard and draw the basics of what I was going to use to like have myself a playground to see how I can play some Tetris and match as many tools as I can in the area that I have available. And after making the plan, I went on to cutting out the proper dimensions for all the brackets. First I used the thinner section of the foam, 5 mm thick one, to create the bottoms of everything, and I cut it all out using steel ruler and a bit of geometry and a scalpel, of course. And there I got all the pieces for that bottom section. And here I'm confirming to make sure that they fit. It's easier to cut them down a few times than to make it too small from the start. Then you cannot go back, of course. Can't make it larger. After that, I cut out the same patches with the thicker foam, and on those thicker foam patches, I placed the tools as I had planned to place them, and carefully drew outlines with a drawing pen. Of course, I'm not sure what the name for those kinds of pen in English is proper, but I drew it so that I can cut it out. I made sure to be as precise as possible, did it as slowly and carefully as I could, and I also went with smaller size cuts and then made them a bit larger and used some trial and error to make sure that I don't cut out too much of the foam so that it doesn't hold the tool in place. And here it is. For these bigger tools, I needed to use 2 layers. So the final version of the toolbox was done by adding another layer. Here I'm putting some glue onto the bottom of the toolbox and also putting the glue onto the foam. So both sides were covered with glue, and then I put them together to glue them, to let it stick. And I did the same for all the bottom sections. As you will see now in this video, I was pressing it down to make sure it sticks properly, and after I put all the bottom sections in place, I did the same thing with the thicker foam sections, and I also put glue both on the top of those bottoms that I wish to put in the bottom, and then put the thicker foam onto them. That part is not shown in the video, but again both sides were glued. And finally I put some heavier tools on top to make sure that it all stays securely seated while the glue dries. Of course, it was a better option that I did in the second go. Here you can see I put some heavier bottles of paint and used another section of the foam to press it and to have a uniform pressure so that it all sticks and glues nicely. That was a better idea that I figured out on the second go. The first go was not as practical. I managed it all stuck properly, but this was a better option. I should have done that from the start for every section. Here I'm showing the same principle on this other bracket, and all the other brackets, the top two ones, are completely unused. They have room to put some extra tools. That's it. Thank you for watching. I hope you found this useful, and there are many other ways to organize tools. I'll probably make separate videos about different toolboxes and different ways of sorting the tools, but this is for the foam holders, and that's it. Cheers. Hi, if you like this video and you like what I'm doing, you can of course subscribe and use this option, this bell, and select all, so that you get notified and never miss a new video that I publish. And if you wish to support me financially, you can do so on my bike.bikegremlin.com webpage/support and choose either PayPal or Patreon donation, where you can choose the amount per your liking and help me make more and videos of higher quality. Thank you very much for your help and support over the past years. Cheers.